My name is Jud Heald. I've been skating since I was 5. I'm now 48. People wonder, I'm like, oh, you're 48? Like, yep, still doing it. Still love every bit about it. Obviously, in the middle of a skate park that we've just built. And yeah, say, do what you love and you'll work a day in your life. And so do that as well as do Untitled Skateboards. That's kind of my main gig. And doing this stuff helps me stay focused on that, be able to stay in skateboarding and not have to go seek some other job outside of skateboarding.
That's great. So what we're wanting to know is what setup you're riding, what are the weird things, because I feel like every skateboarder has his or her own weird little things that we all stick to for whichever reason. So that's what we want to get into today. So let's start with your board. What board size do you ride? Do you have any specifics about shape, concave, any of that?
Right, so I was on an 8 3/4 because I have the size 13 foot. Me and Sean Hover are the only people that ride the 8 3/4 for Untitled, and so I basically just get 8 3/4 just for me and Sean. And then I realized it was a lot of work to just be flipping that board. I want to do more, try to do flip in, maybe do some flip out stuff, but I just find it more work to flip the 8 3/4, so I went to the 8.5. And so yeah, that's where I ended up with the current board I'm riding. Cool things about my setup is the GK locker, and so if you can see the grooves that are in there, you have like the kind of the coping grooves that just come in it, and so basically if you land in the center of your truck, it's going to push you or make you slide to one side of the other. Hopefully you're of the, get yourself to closer to the side you want to be on, and you'll end up right in there, and it just helps to lock in. A weird thing I do is actually when I get my wheels, so it's like I have my Embrace wheel from Embrace Wheel. It's called a Lifesaver, and it actually comes in a cool Lifesaver package, so it looks like the Lifesavers. But these are sanded, so it's like like the square locker things. But these wheels come like in a way that saves your graphic, which is cool. But for me, I want that square wheel, so I actually take them and put them on like I have a benchtop sander, and I'll just like sand them, and get it so it's like dead square, to really get every bit of lock I can. So I have the locker truck with the square locker wheel, and yeah, I really can't say I've had my board flip once since I've had this setup. Now it makes me really nervous to think about ever not having this setup, so it can kind of make me a freak about what I'm going to ride. Yeah.
So do you always carry around a Grand King tool? I remember being a kid and some people had the Grand King trucks and we're like, oh no, who has a tool for that? No one does.
There's probably one in my toolbox, one in my bag, one in my backpack. I probably carry 5 Grand King tools without even knowing it.
True, but you're also a builder, so that makes a little bit more sense. So when you started skating, I would assume that you did not skate 8.5 boards, but like 7.5 or something, like everyone did?
No.
No?
Before you were alive, skateboarding had big skateboards, like 10.5.
Well, yeah, but once they got back to the normal shapes.
Yeah, so when I turned pro in '98, the biggest board I could get as a pro board was a 7.78, and I was so bummed because I was riding 8.5s and bigger boards, and then it was just like, well, this is the only thing that's selling. And me now owning a board company, it's like, why couldn't we just get the boards I like for the ones I want to ride and sell the others? But hey, different day, poorer company. But yeah, so the 778 was like my first pro deck was what it was, and it was a bummer.
So do you care about wheels having to be white or trucks having, I mean, your trucks are orange, so you're probably not one of the white wheels and silver truck people.
I definitely don't like my wheels being yellow right now, but I've just been building constantly for the last, I literally built the Asylum skate park, which I spent 5 weeks straight there, working exactly like we're working now. Like, not that I had to start working through the night and then work into the day, but I was working 14-hour days most days for about 5 weeks, and then I went from there to skate park at Tampa. Somehow managed to stay on my board for one run. Went from there, ran some contests in Oklahoma City, and then drove here. So I really haven't had much time to take care of my skateboard, unfortunately. I did set up a new deck, I think, for Tampa, but yeah, so that's why it's looking a bit grungy. It's not, I like to keep my stuff nice. It definitely, I feel like when you do get product frequently and you let your stuff go downhill, you start to learn how to compensate for how your board is slipping. So for me, like when I'm like, because I like to just fly over stuff, like just push on the tail and not even pop, like when I'm like doing transfers. And so I'll just like lean my foot like this, just instead of just like a full like drag. I want my foot to just be like stuck. So it's like I go over and it just sticks. So as soon as I notice my foot start to slip a little bit, I change the board. So the board might be fine, but the grip tape gets, what I say, loose on my foot. And so then that's when I change a board typically. If I'm skating flat ground and not skating like bigger stuff, I can ride a board a lot longer. But as soon as I'm skating in a way that like I want to be serious about what I'm doing, the stuff that like really pumps me up, yeah, I try to always keep fresh stuff on there and makes things better.
Are you more of a grippy grip person, like mob, or more of like a Jessup type person that's like not so grippy?
Yeah, I think as far as grip stickiness, I think that I would probably go with a thicker grip tape, like a heavier grip tape, if I was like had like a pool board or like a board for park and one for skating the thing. But obviously when you're doing flip tricks, you want that, you got to have that fine line of it be able to slide off good. So yeah, I personally have this like perforated grip that I always get, and you know, so it doesn't have any bubbles, which is nice. And then yeah, so just I guess a medium grip, or I guess it'd be a fine grip, huh? Medium grip's a little thicker. So yeah.
And I usually ask, are you Team Allen or Team Phillips? But I can tell that you're Team neither.
I would definitely vote for, my favorite hardware is definitely Allen hardware. Like Grind King used to have these nut lock things where you basically could just hold there, and then you could have an Allen wrench in your thing and just spin it. That was by far my favorite. Grind King sent me these things called rocket bolts, which are pretty cool. You just pound them in, and they stick in there. It's got like some barbs in there, and then you can just screw it off from that side, and it sucks it down, which is pretty nice. But if I'm just grabbing hardware, I'm going to go with Phillips because, you know, I always have a screw gun somewhere near me here, and that's way faster, and I'm not going to use a Phillips screwdriver and turn it in and waste my life. I mean, you only have so many lives, and it's called one, and so why waste it using Phillips in a nut?
Last question, what about bearings? I also always ask if you are Team shields off or shields on. I can tell you're shield on, and crappy bearings. Sorry.
Yeah, set up new bearings. Yeah, so this is actually probably, these are shields on. I set them up just before Tampa, and they're already terrible. I typically will get a set of Bronson Raw and run them for a year, and these are Bronson with shields, and they already sound terrible. So I don't know what gives it that. You would think that dirt not getting in would be better, but literally I usually buy one pair of bearings and run them the whole year. So the Bronson Raws, have been rocking those for a while now.
Well, I make the argument that somebody else made to me. If you pop the shields, yes, dirt can get in, but it can also get out.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When they come, like, you have to like de-oil them, because the oil, you can't have the same oil in a raw, you know, that you'd have in the seal one, because the seal one's made to have that lubrication, but the lubrication in a raw will then actually work against it and pull and hold oil into it. So it's a different scale of how much lubrication it can have, and kind of lubrication. Yeah, I don't know. I personally would like to just thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, I would be dead or paralyzed. You can look into my testimony, look up Jud Heald Pro Skateboarder, and find a testimony online about things the Lord's done in my life and breaking my neck and all that stuff. But yeah, we got so then we have like a Jesus Saves board. It's yeah. So Untitled Skateboards is my brand that I get to run. It's a nonprofit, and so really the only reason we get to stay in business is because people support us and support our endeavor to share the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ.